Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is some type of cleaning solution. I chose bleach and water mixture and a scrub brush and a squeegee of some sort. And what you're going to do is you're going to douse your shutters in a lot of cleaning solution because you want to be sure that they're very nice and clean before you get started painting. You do not want dirt particles or anything like that showing up under your paint. And so it is very advantageous of you to get in there and get to scrubbing as much as you can. So what I'm doing now is getting that excess water and bleach solution off of the shutters because I want it to dry as quickly as possible so I can get started on my painting. As I was cleaning, I realized that I ran into an issue, and I will talk about that right now. Okay, so I have run into a problem when it comes to painting my shutters. The problem here is that I was going to actually leave them up, but after reading the back of the paint can, it says that you should allow at least 24 hours to dry, but really 3 full days for it to cure. And the problem with that is I checked good old Weather Channel and it's supposed to rain tomorrow. And the whole point of this project was to make it easy for anybody to be able to do it, specifically my ladies. And so I was thinking, okay, I'll just take the shutters down and paint them so then I could just go ahead and get it over with. But the thing about that is it's not as easy as it looks. So here you're supposed to be able to just pop these little bad boys out. And of course, they have probably been on there for a while. And so naturally, they're not going to pop out as easily as they should pop out. I'm going to be like anyone else who's probably trying this for the first time, which is I don't want to force it out and then end up breaking it and then I lose one of my little nub screw things here. I know that's not the right word, but that's what we're going to go with today. So I don't want to lose one of them because one of them is already lost on the second shutter down there. And so I'm going to continue on with my task or with my original goal to leave them up and paint them. So I'm just going to have to come back in like 2 days or so and start the whole process. Well, not start the whole process over with, but yellow jacket. I'm just gonna go ahead and have to basically start the process over, with the exception of like spraying it down too much with bleach because I've already done that. So I'm gonna go ahead and go, and when I do come back, start with my second step, which is to wipe it down with alcohol. Because as you can see, even though I don't know if you can see it, but at the top in certain places there's still like dirt and debris left over. And so I was reading, and another suggestion was to wipe it down with like isopropyl alcohol. Yeah, was to wipe it down with alcohol. And so that's what I'm gonna do in 2 days. So hopefully come back, join me, and then we'll finish this process off and it'll be done in the next 2 days. Okay, so all I had was alcohol wipes, so that's what I used. You use what you have on hand, but I'm just going to use those to get in that nooks and crannies to get all of that extra dirt up out of there. And now we're going to finally move on to the actual painting, what you all came here for. So I ended up getting Valspar. It is a outdoor paint for outdoor projects. It is awesome. It is wonderful. I wish I had used Valspar to paint my front door, but as you can see, I was a little concerned because the little paint swatch on the outside seems to have been much darker than the paint on the inside. So I was a little concerned that it wouldn't be the right color once it dried, but it actually ended up turning out pretty darn nicely, if I say so myself. So when it comes to actual like paint utensils, I went for a paint roller, and that was about $6 at Lowe's. The paint brushes were absolutely expensive, if you ask me, at least for a small project like this. But the good thing is that when I had to end up going back out to get a paint container to hold the paint in, I ended up going to Dollar Tree and realized that they also had paint brushes as well as paint rollers. And I used those on one of the other shutters just to see how it would turn out. And it actually turned out pretty nicely. So if you are pressed for cash, but you still want to get this project done, I would highly suggest going to Dollar Tree and getting some of their paint rollers and paint brushes. And they even have paint sponges that you can use as well. So what I'm doing here is just doing light but effective strokes, if you will. And I say effective because it's covering a lot of space, but it's light because it's not, the paint isn't globbed onto the actual roller. So just make sure you're doing a thin coat because you're going to need to do at least 2 coats. 2 coats was perfectly fine with me. And this is the second shutter, and I am also going in this time a little different. I'm getting in those nooks and crannies first so I can once I go in with my paintbrush, it'll be a really quick process. And after that, we're going to go ahead and look at the screen door. So what I'm doing here is just unscrewing the glass on my screen door or storm door, and I'm taking it off. So when it's time to paint, I can actually do it in one quick swoop. I am all about doing things in one quick swoop, and I didn't want to get any extra paint onto the glass. And so the best thing or the easiest thing to do was to just go ahead and remove it and replace it back once I was finished. So the thing that I wanted to mention about the Valspar as well is the fact that it dried so quickly. Like, I'm going to say once I did the first coat of paint on my shutters, I'm going to say within 15 minutes it was dry. And that's the important part when you do your strokes and making them light, but making sure they still cover most of the shutter and the screen door, if that's what you're doing, is very important because it dries so quickly. And then once it dries, you can go back and really do that second coat very fast. And then that way you'll end up being able to let it both dry and cure within that 24-hour to 2-day span. So what I'm going to do is turn the camera around so you can actually see what I'm doing. But I am literally just rolling the paint on the outside of the door, or the parts that you can actually see. I am not worried necessarily about getting into the nooks and the crannies on the other side of the door, just because the door was black and I'm just kind of, only making it like a navy blue. And that's something that I would suggest, like, if you don't want to have to be super duper duper detailed when it comes to like repainting your screen door or your shutters, I would go for a color that is similar or close in tone to the color that you already have. So for instance, if you have a burgundy shutter, I wouldn't necessarily go and try to change it to white unless you are prepared to go ahead and do a lot of coats and to be very detailed when you're doing those coats. Now I'm just going back in with my paintbrush and I'm getting those edges technically, and I did have painter's tape. I don't know why I feel like I'm a professional because I'm not. But the best thing to do, especially when you are painting the edges like this, even with your shutters, is to apply painter's tape before you get started around the edges. But again, I feel like in my mind, I've been doing this for 20 years, and so I didn't do that. But yes, like I said, I think it would be a good thing to get a color that is similar to the color that you had previously before, just in case you miss a spot, it won't be that noticeable. So that's just a tip. Just making sure that you get in at least 2 coats, even if you have to go back and do touch-ups instead of a third coat, would be really helpful. So that is all I have for you guys today. I hope this was helpful, and I am going to post pictures because you can't really see the color here. But if this was helpful, give me a thumbs up, comment below, and I shall see you guys later. I want to pick him up so bad, but you see those little spikes? You see those spikes? I feel like if I touch him, I'm going to regret it.